The stars looked cold and distant from the observation deck of Centaurus Station. Commander Alara Kathax stood with her forearms clasped behind her back, her scaled skin reflecting the dim emergency lights. The once busy command center was now mostly empty. Only a handful of officers remained at their posts, their movements slow with exhaustion. "Status report," Kathax said, her voice steady despite everything. Officer Zren looked up from his console. His skin had lost its healthy blue glow, now a dull gray from too many sleepless cycles. "Not good, Commander. The Void ships have destroyed our last defense satellites. They will reach the station in 6 hours. Kathax nodded. This news wasn't surprising, but it still hurt. For 20 years, the Andromedan Alliance had fought the Void Collective. For 20 years, they had lost ground, lost ships, lost hope. Now they were down to their last stronghold. "And our evacuation ships?" she asked. "3 made it out before the Void closed the jump lanes. The rest—" Zren didn't finish his sentence. He didn't need to. Kathax walked to the large window. In the distance, she could see the faint purple glow of the Void ships. They looked like a disease spreading across the stars, consuming everything in their path. The Void didn't negotiate. They didn't take prisoners. They simply absorbed all life and technology they encountered into their hive mind. "How many of us are left?" Kathax asked. "Less than 10,000 spread across the station," replied Zren. "The last of the Andromedan Alliance. 10,000 survivors from 7 species that once numbered in the billions." Kathax felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on her shoulders. Their advanced technology, their wisdom collected over thousands of years, none of it had been enough against the Void's endless swarms. "Commander," called a voice from across the room. It was Dr. Mila, their chief scientist. Her thin frame seemed even smaller now, bent with worry. "I think it's time we consider using the QEC, the Quantum Entanglement Communicator, their last hope, a device so experimental that using it might tear a hole in space-time itself. But what choice did they have?" "The Council forbade its use," Kathax reminded her. "The Council is dead," Dr. Mila said bluntly. "We are all that's left, and soon we will be gone too, unless we try something drastic." Kathax looked around the room. The few remaining officers watched her, waiting for her decision. She was the last admiral of what had once been the greatest fleet in the galaxy. Now she commanded a dying station and a handful of broken ships. "How far can the message reach?" she asked. Dr. Mila's eyes showed a spark of hope. "Anywhere. Everywhere. The QEC doesn't care about distance, but we can only send one message before the system burns out." Kathax made her decision. "Do it. Send a distress call to every corner of the universe. Someone must hear us." The officers moved with renewed purpose. Dr. Mila led Kathax to a sealed laboratory deep within the station. Inside stood a machine that looked deceptively simple, a silver cube connected to a control panel. This small device might be their salvation. "We've prepared a standard message containing our coordinates and basic information about the Void threat," Dr. Mila explained as she worked the controls. "It will translate automatically for any species that receives it." "Will anyone answer?" Kathax asked, not really expecting a reply. Dr. Mila looked at her with tired eyes. "The universe is vast. There must be someone out there who can help." The machine hummed to life, glowing with an eerie blue light. Energy readings spiked on the monitors. "Ready to transmit," Dr. Mila announced. Kathax took a deep breath. "Send it." Dr. Mila pressed her hand to the control panel. The machine pulsed once, twice, then released a blinding flash of light. The room shook as reality itself seemed to bend around them. Then everything went quiet. "Did it work?" Kathax asked, blinking away spots from her vision. Dr. Mila checked the readings. "The signal went out. The machine is dead now, just as we expected. Now we wait." But there was little time to wait. Alarms blared throughout the station. "Void ships approaching faster than expected," Zren reported through the comm system. "They'll be in range in 3 hours, not 6. Kathax hurried back to the command center, Dr. Mila following close behind. The situation had worsened. The purple glow of Void ships now filled their view of space, like a storm about to break. Prepare all remaining defenses, Cathax ordered. Move all civilians to the core sections. We'll hold them off as long as we can. Officers rushed to follow her commands, but everyone knew the truth. They could not win this fight. They could only delay the inevitable. As the hours passed, Cathax directed what little resistance they could muster. Their last fighters launched, piloted by volunteers on one-way missions. Defense cannons fired constantly, their energy reserves draining fast. The first void boarding parties breached the outer sections of the station. Security teams fought them corridor by corridor, room by room. The reports coming in grew more desperate. Section 12 has fallen. We've lost contact with the medical bay. They're breaking through the secondary barriers. Cathax watched the tactical display as more and more of the station turned red, marking areas lost to the enemy. Soon they would reach the command center. Commander, Zren said quietly, it's been 5 hours since we sent the message. No one is coming. Cathax didn't answer. What could she say? Their desperate gamble had failed. The Andromedan Alliance, with all its knowledge and achievements, would disappear from the universe, consumed by the void. A loud explosion shook the command center. The main doors buckled under some powerful impact. They're here, someone whispered. Cathax drew her energy blade, its blue glow illuminating her determined face. Everyone who can fight, prepare yourselves. Everyone else, delete all databanks. The void will not take our knowledge. The doors shuddered again. They wouldn't hold much longer. Then, suddenly, all alarms on the tactical display changed. New signals appeared in space around the station. Ships, dozens of them, but not void ships. Something else. Commander, Zren called out, his voice shocked. Unknown vessels just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They're engaging the void. Cathax rushed to the window. Outside, sleek ships of unfamiliar design were firing on the void forces, their weapons cutting through the enemy with surprising effectiveness. Who are they? She demanded. Incoming transmission, Zren reported, his fingers flying over the controls. Audio only. A strange voice filled the command center, speaking in an unfamiliar language that their systems quickly translated. This is Colonel Alan Shepard of the United Earth Defense Force. We received your distress call. Hold tight, Centaurus Station. The cavalry has arrived. Colonel Alan Shepard had been on a routine patrol near Neptune when the message came through. At first, it was just static and strange symbols on his command screen. Then the ship's computer translated it into English. This is Commander Ilara, Cathax of the Andromedan Alliance. Our civilization faces extinction. The Void Collective has destroyed most of our worlds. Centaurus Station is our last stronghold. If any species capable of fighting receives this message, we beg for your assistance. Coordinates follow. Alan didn't believe it at first. Aliens? Asking Earth for help? Humanity had only recently developed faster-than-light travel. They had never encountered another intelligent species, though scientists had always believed they were out there somewhere. Sir, said Lieutenant Frank Dawson, his communications officer. The message appears genuine. These coordinates are for a location in the Andromeda Galaxy. Andromeda? That's over 2 million light-years away, Alan said. How did they send this message? Unknown, sir. But our scientists confirm it contains technology we've never seen before. Alan made his decision quickly. Send this to Earth Command immediately. All ships. Prepare to return to base. Back on Earth, the message caused an uproar. Government leaders, military officials, and scientists debated for days. Some thought it was a trick. Others worried about getting involved in an alien war. But most were simply amazed that Earth had been contacted. General Patricia Winters led the emergency meeting at United Earth Defense Force headquarters. She was a tall woman with gray hair and a reputation for making tough decisions. Let me get this straight, she said, looking at the scientists seated around the table. An advanced alien civilization is asking us, a species that has barely left its own solar system, for military help? Dr. Ethan Wells, the lead exobiologist, nodded. Yes, General, and based on the technical data in their message, they are indeed far more advanced than us. Yet they're losing this war. Why ask us for help then? Asked Admiral Garcia. Perhaps Because we think differently, suggested Dr. Wells. Humans have a unique history of warfare. We've developed countless strategies and tactics over thousands of years. General Winters frowned. Or perhaps they're desperate and asking anyone who might listen. There's another concern, said Dr. Wells, his face serious. If this Void Collective has already consumed most of the Andromeda Galaxy, what's to stop them from coming here next? Better to fight them alongside allies with advanced technology than alone. The room fell silent as everyone considered this. Finally, General Winters stood up. I'm authorizing a response team. Colonel Shepard will lead the 1st Interstellar Strike Force. 5,000 of our best soldiers with our most advanced ships and weapons. If Earth is going to make first contact with an alien civilization, let's make sure we do it right. Preparations moved quickly. The scientists worked day and night to understand the alien coordinates and develop a way to travel such a vast distance. They settled on using an experimental wormhole gateway. Risky, but the only option that might get them there in time. Colonel Shepard selected his team carefully. He wanted soldiers who could think on their feet, adapt to strange situations, and keep calm under pressure. No one knew what they would face in the Andromeda Galaxy, but they needed to be ready for anything. Major Samantha Collins would lead the ground forces. She had dark skin, sharp eyes, and 12 years of combat experience. Sam, as everyone called her, had fought in conflicts all over Earth. Do you really think we can help them? She asked Shepard as they reviewed the mission plans. If their advanced technology couldn't stop this enemy, what chance do we have? Sometimes fresh eyes see solutions that experts miss, Shepard replied. And humans have been fighting wars against stronger enemies throughout our history. We're good at being the underdogs. The day of departure came. The human fleet gathered near the edge of the solar system, 20 ships carrying soldiers, equipment, and supplies. The wormhole gateway, a massive ring of energy, hummed with power as final calculations were made. General Winters addressed the troops one last time from Earth. Her face was solemn on the view screens. Men and women of the 1st Interstellar Strike Force, you are about to embark on the most important mission in human history. You will be the first humans to visit another galaxy, the first to meet an alien civilization, and possibly the first line of defense against a threat that could one day reach Earth. Remember your training, trust your instincts, and know that all of humanity stands with you. Colonel Shepard gave the order. One by one, the ships entered the wormhole. The journey was rough. The ships shook violently, systems flickered, and several crew members passed out from the strain. But when they emerged, the sight took their breath away. Stars. Billions of them, in patterns no human had ever seen before. They were in the Andromeda Galaxy, and there, just ahead, was what could only be Centaurus Station, a massive structure surrounded by strange purple ships attacking from all sides. Battle stations, Shepard ordered. All ships, form up and prepare to engage. Let's introduce ourselves. Major Collins strapped herself into a drop pod, along with her first team of soldiers. They would be the first humans to set foot on the alien station. Her heart pounded with a mix of fear and excitement. Remember, she told her team, we're here to help these people. They may look different, think different, but they're fighting for their lives just like we would. The human ships accelerated toward the battle, weapon systems coming online. The void ships focused on the station didn't notice the newcomers until the first volley of Earth missiles struck their rear flanks. Shepard watched as the enemy ships turned to face this new threat. They moved with eerie coordination, like parts of a single organism rather than individual vessels. All ships break formation and engage at will, he ordered. Keep them confused. Don't let them predict our movements. The human fleet scattered, each ship attacking from a different angle. It was basic human military doctrine: divide the enemy's attention, create chaos. But it seemed to work. The void ships struggled to respond to the unpredictable assault. Meanwhile, Major Collins and her team launched toward Centaurus Station in their drop pods. Incoming transmission from the station, her pilot announced. A strange voice, translated through their systems, sounded confused and hopeful. Unknown vessels, this is Commander Kathax. Who are you? Collins took a deep breath and responded. Commander, this is Major Samantha Collins of the United Earth Defense Force. We got your message. We're here to help. There was a long pause. Then, Earth? We don't know this world. You will, Collins promised as her drop pod approached the station. And so will the Void. Major Samantha Collins felt the drop pod shake as it docked with Centaurus Station. The airlock hissed open, and she led her team into the alien structure. The corridor they entered was tall and wide, with strange symbols glowing on the walls. Emergency lights flashed and distant sounds of fighting echoed through the station. Stay alert, Sam told her team. We don't know what these Void creatures look like yet. They moved cautiously, weapons ready. The station's gravity felt slightly lighter than Earth's, making their movements seem bouncy and strange. Around a corner, they encountered their first aliens. 3 tall beings with 4 arms and scaled skin stood behind a makeshift barrier. They held weapons and aimed them directly at the humans. Sam raised her hand in a peaceful gesture. We're from Earth, we're here to help. The aliens looked at each other, clearly unsure. One of them spoke, and Sam's translator device converted the sounds into English. Follow us to the command center. Commander Kethax is waiting. The humans were led through damaged corridors. Parts of the station were on fire. Other areas had strange purple growths covering the walls, the mark of the Void, Sam guessed. They passed more aliens, some injured, others working frantically to repair systems or treat the wounded. They all stopped to stare at the humans with their strange 2-armed bodies and soft skin. In the command center, Commander Kethax waited. She was taller than the others, with a crest of spines on her head that seemed to indicate rank or authority. So, she said through the translator, you are humans. Sam removed her helmet and nodded. Major Samantha Collins, United Earth Defense Force. Our fleet is engaging the Void ships outside. My team is the first wave of ground forces. Kethax studied her with large, golden eyes. Your species was unknown to us. Your technology seems basic, yet your ships fight in ways we have not seen before. We have a saying on Earth, Sam replied. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. The translator struggled with this idiom, but Kethax seemed to understand the general meaning. We have been fighting for 20 years, she said. We have lost billions of lives, hundreds of worlds. Why would your people risk themselves for strangers? Before Sam could answer, an explosion rocked the station. Alarms blared. Void forces have breached Section 7, reported an Andromedan officer. That's near our medical bay, Kethax said with alarm. Sam activated her comm. Lieutenant Rodriguez, take your team to Section 7, protect that medical bay. Yes, Major, came the quick reply. Kethax looked surprised. You would send your people into danger so quickly? That's why we came, Sam said simply. Meanwhile, in space, the battle continued. Colonel Shepard directed the human fleet from his command ship. The Void vessels were numerous but predictable. They moved in perfect synchronization, which made their actions easy to anticipate once you understood their patterns. All ships, execute pattern Bravo, Shepard ordered. Let's see how they handle that. The human ships broke formation again, this time executing a complex series of maneuvers designed to appear random, but actually focused their firepower on key enemy vessels. The Void ships tried to adjust but couldn't react quickly enough to the seemingly chaotic movements. Back on the station, Lieutenant Kyle Rodriguez and his team raced toward Section 7. They encountered their first Void creatures in a corridor, humanoid, shapes made of a shifting purple substance that seemed both solid and liquid at the same time. Open fire, Rodriguez ordered. The human weapons, simple projectile guns firing specially designed bullets, tore through the Void beings. To everyone's surprise, this worked better than the Andromedan energy weapons. The physical bullets disrupted the Void's form, making it harder for them to regenerate. They're connected somehow, Rodriguez observed as they fought. When we hit one, the others flinch. He pulled out a small device from his pack, a portable EMP generator originally designed to disable enemy electronics. Let's try this, he said, activating it. The pulse of electromagnetic energy washed over the corridor. The effect on the Void creatures was immediate and dramatic. They writhed in apparent pain, their forms becoming unstable. "It works!" Rodriguez shouted into his comm. "Major, the void entities are vulnerable to electromagnetic pulses." In the command center, Sam quickly relayed this information to Kathax. "Electromagnetic disruption? We never considered that," Kathax admitted. "Our weapons are all energy-based. We thought more power was the answer." "Sometimes simpler is better," Sam said. "Can you reconfigure your systems to generate electromagnetic pulses?" Kathax turned to her scientists. "Do it." As the battle continued, more human soldiers arrived on the station. They brought with them not just weapons, but different ways of thinking. Staff Sergeant Olivia Daniels showed the Andromedans how to set up simple traps using tripwires and pressure plates, ancient technology by their standards, but effective against an enemy that expected high-tech defenses. Captain Ben Foster discovered that the Void communicated using a frequency that could be jammed with modified radio equipment. Once cut off from their hive mind, individual Void units became less effective, easier to defeat. Kathax watched it all with growing amazement. These humans, with their relatively primitive technology, were changing the course of a war her people had been losing for decades. They didn't rely on advanced AI or sophisticated energy weapons. They used cunning, adaptability, and a willingness to try unconventional approaches. "Your species is strange," she told Sam as they observed a tactical display showing the battle outside. The human ships were now clearly winning, pushing back the Void fleet. "You have such short lives compared to ours. Your technology is centuries behind. Yet you fight with a creativity we lack." "Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years," Sam explained. "We've learned a lot of hard lessons. A history of conflict," Kathax mused. "We thought that was a sign of a primitive species. Perhaps we were wrong." A young Andromedan officer rushed into the command center. "Commander, Section 12 is secure. The Void forces are retreating there." "Retreating?" Kathax seemed unable to believe it. The Void never retreats. More reports came in from around the station. Everywhere the tide was turning. The combination of human tactics and Andromedan technology was proving too much for the Void to handle. Colonel Shepard's voice came through on the comm system. "Major Collins, this is Shepard. The Void fleet is breaking formation. I think we've got them on the run." Sam looked at Kathax, whose expression showed a complex mix of emotions. Hope, perhaps for the first time in years. "Your people," Kathax said quietly, "arrived when all hope was lost. And now, everything has changed." 1 week after the first battle, Centaurus Station buzzed with activity. Human and Andromedan crews worked side by side, repairing damage and preparing for the next phase of the war. The Void forces had retreated, but everyone knew they would return, stronger and adapted to the new tactics. General Patricia Winters had arrived through the wormhole with the second wave of human forces. She stood in the main conference room with Commander Kathax and Colonel Shepard, studying a holographic map of nearby space. "The Void will regroup here," Kathax said, pointing to a cluster of purple dots. "They always follow the same pattern: retreat, rebuild, then attack again with greater numbers." General Winters frowned. "Always the same pattern? They never change their strategy." "They are a hive mind," Kathax explained. "They value efficiency above all else. Once they find an optimal approach, they see no reason to deviate. That's their weakness," Winters said. "They're predictable." She turned to Colonel Shepard. "What do you suggest?" Shepard studied the map. "Defense won't work forever. We need to take the fight to them, hit them where they don't expect it." Kathax looked shocked. "Attack the Void in their own territory? We have never successfully penetrated their space. They are too numerous." "We're not suggesting a frontal assault," Winters clarified. "We're thinking of something more surgical." In the station's training area, Captain Nathan Brooks worked with mixed teams of humans and Andromedans. The aliens were quick learners, though they sometimes struggled to understand the humans' less structured approach to combat. No, Brooks told an Andromedan soldier who was precisely following a textbook maneuver. "You're being too perfect, too predictable. Mix it up. Surprise me." The Andromedan looked confused. But this is the optimal movement pattern for this scenario. Optimal doesn't matter if your enemy can predict it, Brooks explained patiently. Sometimes a less efficient but unexpected move works better. Slowly, the Andromedans began to understand. They had spent centuries developing perfect battle plans and technologies, never realizing that their very perfection made them vulnerable to an enemy that could analyze and counter those plans. Meanwhile, in the science lab, Dr. Julia Martinez worked alongside Andromedan researchers. She was studying samples of the void material, trying to understand its nature. Fascinating, she muttered as she examined a piece under a microscope. It's not truly biological or mechanical. It's something in between. An Andromedan scientist named Trell watched her work. We have studied the void for decades. They are a collective consciousness spread across billions of individual units. When one learns something, all learn it. That's why they adapt so quickly, Julia realized. But it's also a potential weakness. If we could disrupt their connection. She thought about Lieutenant Rodriguez's discovery that electromagnetic pulses affected the void creatures. Perhaps there was a way to amplify that effect, to create something that could sever the connections between void units on a larger scale. Julia looked up at Trell. I need to test a theory. Can you help me? While the scientists worked, General Winters met with the Andromedan High Council, the few surviving leaders of their once great civilization. They were skeptical of her proposed counteroffensive. We have always fought defensively, said one elder council member. It is our way. And how has that worked out? Winters asked bluntly. The council chamber fell silent. The void adapts to your defenses, Winters continued. Each time they attack, they're stronger, better prepared. You can't win a war by only defending. Another council member spoke up. Our people are not warriors like yours. We built our civilization on science and art. And we'll help you preserve that civilization, Winters promised. But first we need to stop the void, together. After hours of debate, the council agreed to support what the humans called Operation Lightbringer, a bold plan to strike at the heart of void territory. The next day, planning began in earnest. The operation would consist of 3 parts: a diversionary attack to draw away void forces, a stealth mission to plant a disruptive device at their main command hub, and a scientific component, the weapon Dr. Martinez and her team were developing. Captain Brooks would lead the training of special mixed-species strike teams. Major Collins would command the diversionary force. And Lieutenant Rodriguez, whose discovery of the void's electromagnetic weakness had proven so valuable, would head the stealth team. As preparations continued, Dr. Martinez made a breakthrough. She burst into the command center, her eyes bright. With excitement, we've done it, she announced to General Winters and Commander Kathax. We've developed a biological electromagnetic disruptor that can break the void's neural network. She placed a small device on the table. This transmits a signal that interferes with the specific frequency the void uses to communicate. Once activated at their command hub, it will spread through their network like a virus, disconnecting individual units from the hive mind. Kathax picked up the device carefully. And without the hive mind? Individual void units have very limited intelligence, Julia explained. They'll become disorganized, confused. They won't be able to coordinate their actions or adapt to new situations. For the first time, a real victory against the void seemed possible. The mood on Centaurus Station changed from desperate determination to cautious hope. 3 days later, Operation Lightbringer was ready to launch. The combined fleet of human and Andromedan ships gathered at the edge of void space. The strike teams made final preparations, checking weapons and equipment. In the launch bay, Lieutenant Rodriguez knelt beside Sergeant William Harris, a quiet man known for his steady nerves. You understand the mission? Rodriguez asked. Harris nodded. Get in, plant the disruptor at the central nexus, get out, simple. They both knew it wasn't simple at all. The stealth team would be venturing into the heart of enemy territory, facing dangers no human had ever encountered before. General Winters addressed all forces one last time before deployment. Her voice echoed through communication systems across the fleet and station. Today we take the fight to the enemy. For too long the void has expanded unchecked, consuming everything in its path. Today that changes. Human and Andromedan fighting side by side, we will show the void that the free peoples of this galaxy will not fall. We will not be assimilated. We will fight, and we will win. As the ships moved into position, Commander Kethax stood beside General Winters on the command deck. She looked at the human leader with newfound respect. "Before your people came," Kethax said quietly, "I had accepted that my civilization would die. Now I begin to hope again." Winters smiled. "Hope is a powerful weapon, Commander. Sometimes the most powerful one we have." The signal was given. Operation Lightbringer began. Operation Lightbringer began with a bang. Major Collins led the diversionary attack force, a mix of human and Andromedan ships that struck at 3 different void outposts simultaneously. Their goal was to draw attention and forces away from the void's central command hub. "All units engage with unpredictable patterns," Collins ordered from her command ship. "Keep changing your tactics. Don't let them adapt." The human pilots taught their Andromedan counterparts to fly with instinct, rather than programming, to make choices that seemed illogical but worked because they surprised the enemy. The void forces responded predictably, sending ships to defend their outposts in precise mathematical formations. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Rodriguez and the stealth team approached the void command hub in a small ship with experimental cloaking technology. The hub was a massive structure, purple and pulsing with energy, floating in the darkness of space. "Sensors show minimal defenses," reported the Andromedan pilot. "They never expected anyone to reach this far into their territory." Rodriguez checked his team one last time, 6 humans and 4 Andromedans, all volunteers for what might be a suicide mission. Sergeant William Harris sat quietly, checking the disruptor device Dr. Martinez had created. "Remember," Rodriguez told them, "we plant the device at the central nexus, activate it, and get out. The void will be focused on the diversionary attacks. We should have a 20-minute window." Their ship docked silently on the outer hull of the command hub. Using cutting tools, they created an entry point and moved inside. The interior was strange, organic, yet mechanical, with corridors that pulsed with the same purple energy they had seen on Centaurus Station. "This way," whispered their Andromedan guide Trell, who had studied void architecture. "The central nexus should be 2 levels down." They moved carefully, encountering few void entities. Those they did meet were quickly dispatched with electromagnetic pulse weapons. The deeper they went, the warmer and more humid the air became. The walls seemed to breathe. At last they reached a large chamber filled with swirling purple energy. In the center stood a column that reached from floor to ceiling, pulsing with light and sending out waves of energy in all directions. "That's it," Trell said. "The central nexus. All void communication flows through this point." Harris stepped forward with the disruptor. "I'll plant it. Cover me." Just then, alarms blared. Void entities poured into the chamber from multiple entrances. "They know we're here," Rodriguez shouted. "Defensive positions." The team formed a protective circle around Harris as he worked to attach the disruptor to the central column. The void entities attacked in waves, their bodies shifting and changing as they fought. The team's weapons were effective but limited. For every void creature they destroyed, 2 more appeared. "I need more time," Harris called out as he calibrated the device. Rodriguez looked at his dwindling team. 3 were already down, and the others wouldn't last much longer. "Fall back to the entrance," he ordered. "I'll cover Harris." "But sir," one soldier began to protest. "That's an order. Get back to the ship." As the team retreated, Rodriguez and Harris stayed behind. They fought back to back, holding off the void entities while Harris completed his work. "Almost done," Harris said, his hands steady, despite the chaos around them. "Just need to set the activation sequence." A void creature lunged at him. Rodriguez shot it down but was hit by another from behind. He fell to his knees, his armor melting where the creature had touched him. "Rodriguez!" Harris shouted. "Finish it!" Rodriguez gasped through the pain. Harris turned back to the device, made the final adjustments, and pressed the activation button. The disruptor hummed to life, sending out pulses of energy that matched, then disrupted the frequency of the Nexus. "It's working," Harris said. "Let's go." He helped Rodriguez to his feet, and together they staggered toward the exit. Behind them, the central Nexus began to flicker and destabilize. The void entities in the chamber stopped attacking, their movements becoming erratic and uncoordinated. Across void territory, the effect spread like ripples in a pond. On the front lines, Major Collins watched in amazement as the enemy ships suddenly lost formation, some colliding with each other, others drifting aimlessly. "They did it," she whispered. "The disruptor is working." Back at the command hub, Harris and Rodriguez reached the ship just as the structure began to shake violently. The rest of the team pulled them inside. "Get us out of here," Harris shouted to the pilot. The ship detached and moved away at maximum speed. Behind them, the command hub didn't explode as they had expected. Instead, it simply dimmed. The purple energy faded, leaving a dark, lifeless shell. As reports came in from all fronts, the full impact of Operation Lightbringer became clear. Without their hive mind connection, the void forces had fallen into disarray. Individual units still functioned but couldn't coordinate or adapt. For the first time in decades, they were retreating on all fronts. 2 days later, on Centaurus Station, a celebration like no other took place. Humans and Andromedans together marked a victory that had once seemed impossible. The war wasn't over. There were still void forces throughout the galaxy, but for the first time, there was hope of true victory. In the main hall, Commander Kethax and General Winters stood before the assembled troops. Kethax raised her forearms for silence. "For 20 years we fought a losing war," she said. "We had superior technology, superior knowledge, but we were losing. Then came humans, with their strange ways and primitive weapons, their unpredictable tactics, and their, what is your word? Grit." The human soldiers smiled. "You taught us that perfection can be a weakness, that sometimes the unexpected, the improvised, the imperfect solution is exactly what is needed. You arrived when all hope was lost, and you changed everything." General Winters stepped forward. "This victory belongs to all of us. Human ingenuity and Andromedan technology, working together. And there's more work to be done." She outlined the next phase. Joint operations to clear remaining void forces, the establishment of an early warning system, and a new alliance between Earth and the Andromedan worlds. After the formal ceremony, Dr. Martinez approached Kethax with a concerned expression. "Commander, I've been studying the data from the Void Command Hub. I found something disturbing." She showed Kethax a tablet with strange readings. The Void wasn't expanding randomly. They were running from something. Kethax's eyes widened. "What could frighten such a powerful enemy?" "I don't know," Martinez admitted. "But whatever it is, it's coming from beyond the rim of our galaxies." Kethax looked out at the celebrating humans and Andromedans, now friends and allies. "Then we'll face it together," she said. "Just as we face the void." Martinez nodded. Together. In the crowd, Rodriguez and Harris sat with drinks watching the celebration. Their injuries would heal, though Rodriguez would always carry scars from the void's touch. "Think we'll ever go back to Earth?" Harris asked. Rodriguez considered this. "Eventually. But right now, we're needed here." He looked around at this strange station in a distant galaxy, at the aliens who were now their allies, at the stars beyond that held new dangers and adventures. "Besides," he added with a smile, "I think humanity just got a lot bigger."